Hey y'all, it's Kim again. So I asked ChatGPT just to kind of condense down some information about modern feminism versus the original concept of feminism. Because like I just did a video on women upset on the internet because they are lonely now. They have no family, no kids, nothing. And so anyway, uh, it's I think has changed the idea itself has changed over the years, but it says origins and core purpose. Original feminism, which is the first wave, was late 19th to early 20th century. The focus was legal equality and civil rights, especially the right to vote, own property, and access education. Key figures are Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady, I guess as I say, Katie Stanton, Sojourner Truth, Emmeline Pankhurst. The context: women are legally and socially subordinate to men, lacking voting rights and legal personhood in many societies. Primary goal to establish women as equal citizens under the law, a fight for inclusion within existing institutions. Modern feminism, which is the fourth wave, so the early 2010s to the present, its focus is broader social justice concern, gender identity, which I don't really get that. I mean, because women should be the only ones in that category of feminism, but that's a whole nother thing. Because where are the feminists when the guys are going in the women's bathroom and the locker room and their sports and, even some of these women in certain religions and they're being mistreated by the men? Where are the feminists? Just saying. Intersectionality, which I guess is like if you're black, lesbian, female, something intersectional, wherever you're, whatever you want to call it, your identities intersect is I guess what they're talking about. Like whatever John Pierre, whatever her name, Corinne John Pierre was like, I guess I consider her intersectionality because she was a black female lesbian, something like that. I mean, anyway, whatever. Body autonomy, abortion, just say it. Workplace equity, digital harassment. I don't know what that is, and the representation in media. I guess to have more women be present, like you have the females on the NFL sidelines. I guess whatever. Key figures and influences is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I don't know who the hell that is. Bell Hooks, Roxane Gay, Tarana Burke, founder of Me Too. Let's see, context: legal equality largely achieved in many countries, but social, cultural, and economic inequalities persist. Primary goal is to address systemic and cultural biases, emphasizing inclusion across gender, race, sexuality, and class. So it has nothing to do with female stuff now. So what is this? Okay, let's see. Philosophical foundation. The original feminism is grounded in liberal humanism, belief in rationality, individual rights, and and equality before the law. Argued that women were just as capable and rational as men and thus deserved equal civic participation, given the right to vote, and then focused on assimilation, achieving parity within the existing social order. Modern feminism is grounded in intersectional and postmodern theory, argues that gender inequality intersects with race, sexuality, class, and other identities. Okay. So they're pulling in other ideas, really. It almost sounds like it's coming down to cultural Marxism with all the identity stuff. Anyway, questions and deconstructs traditional power structures rather than seeking assimilation into them. So you're trying to basically put women in charge of everything. I mean, is that what they're talking about? And then often focuses on representation, voice, and identity as much as legal parity. Key issues and priorities. So here's a category: original feminism, modern feminism. So there's legal rights. So under original, it was voting, property, contract, and marriage laws. Now it's equal pay, reproductive rights or abortion, and then workplace harassment. Social role, breaking domestic confinement, redefining gender roles and expectations. Exactly. So it's a social construct. Yeah. Cultural focus is women are equal to men. All genders deserve freedom and respect. Okay. Freedom to do what, though? Intersectionality, largely absent, often centered on white middle class women. Central concern now is includes women of color, LGBTQ plus, and global perspectives. Methods, petitions, marches, legal reform, social media activism, cultural critique, awareness campaigns like Me Too and He for She. What does that mean? I don't know what He for She is. Um, I don't know what that is. Let's see. Relationship with men. Original feminism is generally collaborative or persuasive, aiming to win legal acknowledgement from male lawmakers, and then sought male allies to help pass suffrage and property laws. It viewed men as partners in progress, not adversaries. So this is where I think it comes down to. Modern feminism is more critical of patriarchal structures and male-dominated institutions, and encourages men to examine privilege and engage in allyship, but often faces tension over perceived anti-male narratives and media discussions. Yeah, I mean, they're being pushed away, so they don't want anything to do with it. And then expands dialogue to include men's issues, male or toxic masculinity, mental health, fatherhood roles within gender equality. Yeah. Okay. And then methods and platform. Original feminism relied on print media, speeches, and organized protests, suffrage marches, conventions. Communication was local or national, slow but structured. Modern feminism, driven by digital platforms like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, online campaigns. Global in scope, centralized and rapid in mobilization, uses hashtags and viral movements to challenge sexism and amplify marginalized voices. The criticisms, original feminism, criticized for exclusivity, often ignored working class women and women of color. It focused too narrowly on the experiences of educated white Western women, which I could see that. I mean, those I'm sure were all pretty much white females that were in the first wave, sorry, of feminism. But modern feminism criticized for fragmentation and ideological division, no unified vision, overlaps with culture wars. Yes, all this like cultural Marxism and all this stuff. Some accuse it of promoting performative activism or cancel culture. Others argue it sometimes neglects men's or boys' struggles or economic class issues in favor of identity politics. I mean, pretty much everything is turned into like they even said on a podcast that the society is basically turned into a feminine society or something like that. Men are kind of being pushed out in favor of females. Like you have a lot of female bosses and managers and stuff like that. The economy's turned feminine. Um, yeah, a lot of places, yeah, women in charge, which is fine. I mean, if they have the qualifications to do it, but don't just put somebody in there just because they're a woman or because they're lesbian, or because of this, or because of that, whatever their identity winds up being. Achievements and legacy. Original feminism that won suffrage rights, property rights, access to higher education, and reforms in family law, a foundation for later waves of feminism by proving women could organize politically and intellectually. And I'm not saying women aren't smart, but there's certain things that men need to do and certain things women need to do, and that's it. Modern feminism expanded awareness of sexual harassment, I guess, the Me Too thing, that's fine. Gender pay gap and media representation influenced global movements like Me Too, Time's Up, and women's marches. Helped normalize discussions around consent, body image, gender identity. See, this gender identity thing, I'm not really sure about what they mean by this. Are they talking about like you know, transgenders, or what are they talking about? And inclusivity in workplaces and schools. So the summary, the aspect, original feminism was for the era was 1848 to 1920s, which is the first wave. Modern feminism is 2010s to the present, fourth wave. The goal is legal and civic equality, cultural, social, and identity-based equity. The core philosophy is liberal humanism, intersectional postmodernism. Some of these isms I'm not really sure about. I've read about some of it in school, but that's about it. School, women's rights, gender justice for all identities. I don't know what that means. And that means, law, suffrage, and reform, media, activism, and social discourse, which actually they're not doing a whole lot of discourse when they're canceling people or not platforming certain people for certain things. And the challenge is legal exclusion, systemic bias, and representation. Let's see. Conclusion: the original concept of feminism was a movement for women's legal equality, practical, unifying, and reform driven. Modern feminism, in contrast, is a multifaceted social movement, global, intersectional, and culturally transformative. While early feminists fought to enter public life as equals, modern feminists aim to reshape society to make equality meaningful for everyone across all identities and experiences. That may be true about this, that it's mean or equally whatever meaningful for everyone, but it's almost like, what is this about the identity stuff? That's kind of weird. So are we talking about transgenders, or what does that mean? Anyway, I guess just make up your own mind on that. I don't know, without looking into all of this stuff, but that's just a concise, like, just an overview, really. I know there's way more to it than that. But me personally, I've just seen more women try to almost like push men out and then elevate themselves completely. But maybe now they're doing supposedly for everyone, but I don't think that's really true. I think they're just more like out for themselves. But anyway, whatever. Make up your own mind on it. But I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.